Data science is a relatively new field, but has seen some important developments in the last decade. Python libraries, machine learning breakthroughs, and more have all brought the discipline to the forefront. However, data scientists don't spend all of their time working on cutting edge LLMs. Obviously, some do, but this is highly technical work. A far more common application of a data scientist's talents involves the curation of datasets and the creation of various charts. Among this vast sea of potential options, a few stand out and have been seen by almost everyone. These are the scatter plot, the line chart, and of course, the bar chart. These charts are popular for a reason. They are simple to read but effective in execution. They are nearly ubiquitous, but few know of the man who created them almost 200 years ago. Much of the following information in this section comes from the book A History of Data Visualization and Graphic Communication, written by Michael Friendly and Howard Weiner, specifically Chapter 5. Aside from information on bar and line charts, this book takes its reader on an excellently written and very approachable deep dive into visual communication methods that have become so common we take them for granted. William Playfair was born in a small Scottish village in 1759. Following the death of his father when he was only 12, William was raised briefly by his older brother John, who was a distinguished natural scientist, before being sent to apprentice with Andrew Mickle, a Scottish engineer. Around the age of 26, Playfair began work on the book for which he would best be known, Commercial and Political Atlas. Within this book were some of the first examples of both bar and line charts. Even before the creation of this book, however, Playfair recognized something that would become foundational to the field of data science: the power of visuals. The eye is the main way through which the bulk of humanity interacts with the world. According to Playfair, it, quote, is the best judge of proportion, being able to estimate it with more quickness and accuracy than any other of our organs, end quote. From here, he reasoned, the viewer is able to connect and make concrete, disparate and abstract ideas, aiding in general understanding. Playfair was also a believer in the idea that, fundamentally, the general public didn't have much use for the exact minutiae of data found within tables. Such precision inhibited understanding and made the information difficult to remember. In this way, a graph could excise unnecessary details while still painting an honest picture of the whole. Of the dozens of charts that feature in Commercial and Political Atlas, two stand out and deserve further examination. Many of the visual embellishments used by Playfair to create these charts have since become convention for data science and data visualization broadly. We will first examine one of his line charts, titled Chart of the National Debt of England, which does a superb job showcasing these embellishments. The first is the framing of the plot. It contains the information nicely while leaving room for axis labels and a chart title. The second is a title, which provides useful context to what the viewer is looking at. The third is color coding. It separates the data from the rest of the space, increasing visual clarity. Additionally, it creates a sense of volume, which accentuates the data. This isn't always necessary, but is very useful in this particular context relating to economics. The fourth is the labeling of axes. This allows the viewer to quickly understand which metrics are on display and how severe or numerous they are. The fifth is grid lines. These instill a sense of scale by creating a kind of milestone for the data to cross. Additionally, they make it very easy to connect the value of a specific point with either axis. The sixth is, as Friendly and Weiner call it, event markers. These are vertical guidelines placed at important dates. The seventh embellishment, though not found within either of the charts examined here, is some kind of future extrapolation based on existing values. Playfair indicated what was known and what was predicted with either solid or broken lines. For modern examples of this, one can look at climate change data. In summary, Playfair's visual style, much of which later became standard for graphs and charts, implemented the following: 1. Framing. 2. Title. 3. Color coding. 4. Labeled axes. 5. Grid lines. 6. Event markers. And 7. Extrapolation based on known values. On top of these 7 things, Playfair also used this chart to tell a story. This is an element of chart making that is still highly relevant to data scientists. Without a narrative, getting people to care about just the data alone can be very challenging. Here, the story is clearly that wars increase the debt, with longer conflicts making things worse. The second chart of note is history's first real bar chart. It contains information relating to Scotland's exports and imports from 1781. At the time, Playfair was disappointed with the chart, but despite this, it is very well made and nearly indistinguishable from a contemporary bar chart. The following are particularly smart design decisions made by Playfair. The first is the fact that each nation's imports and exports are placed next to each other, making for easy comparisons. The second is that the data are arranged in a generally increasing order, better contextualizing the magnitude of difference between nations like Ireland and Poland. Finally, the horizontal placement of the bars ensures everything fits well while allowing space for labels. Two things are notable about these charts. The first is their similarity to contemporary products. If anything, they are actually better made than most bar charts you or I are likely to come across in our daily lives. The second is their ability to represent intangible or otherwise abstract concepts. Visualizing things like compiling national debt or the imports and exports of a nation in this way allows one to immediately grapple with the idea and even glean insights from it. Now, you might be wondering, why is this relevant today? Well, these visuals reflect the power of simplicity within the discipline of data science and data visualization. Since the time of Playfair, hundreds, if not thousands, of new visualization techniques have been developed, yet ultimately, most are less interpretable to the general public than the elegant forms he developed, serving mostly as eye candy. Alternatively, some do make genuine improvements to the field of data visualization, but have little applicability outside of a specific scientific niche. Assuming someone has a basic level of visual literacy, there are few graphs more effective at communicating information than the bar and line chart. The inventions of antiquity are not always so antiquated, and recognizing their timeless value is important, particularly if someone wants to quickly communicate complex information in a digestible manner. These charts were invented when the average literacy rate in England was around 50%. If they were effective then, they are even more so in the modern day. Additionally, many of these disciplinary conventions, like labeled axes and grid lines, contribute to honest and therefore ethical portrayals of data. Thank you, William Playfair, for revolutionizing how data is presented visually and creating many of the most common charts and plots.